You know what else is awesome is the guy who's about to be joining us here on the River Islands guest line, and also presented by Ceremony Ford, your Bay Area Ford store. And that is one Bonta Hill. You see him occasionally on this show. You also see him on NBC Sports Bay Area, Warriors and Giants pre- and post-game live. And you'll also see him chilling in his car with his shades on right now if you're watching on YouTube. B, thanks for hopping on with Shasky and I this morning. And, you know, again, as I said, just a very emotional weekend here with Don Nelson, of course, passing yesterday. When I say the legend and the legacy of Don Nelson, where does your mind go?
Offensive innovation. Ahead of his time. You know, everybody credits, and good morning, fellas. And sorry, I just did drop off here, so it's very bright in my eyes, so I got to make sure the Ray-Bans are on tight. But offensive innovation, right? Mike D'Antoni gets credit for the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns, and, you know, everybody gets credit for small ball, and that was Don Nelson. Don Nelson was doing this in the 80s with the Milwaukee Bucks. Think about the point forward with Marcus Johnson and Presley, and later on with the Golden State Warriors or Run TMC, and the stories that you just keep hearing about them. You know, I've been fortunate to sit next to Bully for 6 years now, and, I mean, I've heard so much about Don Nelson. I don't know the guy, and I love the guy. So it just, you know, kind of capped off what was a tough week. I mean, it's just a brutal week in the Bay Area. You know, colleagues losing jobs, Kruko announcing his retirement, the Roger Craig speech, which really got me in my feels, and just seeing how overjoyed he was and just being in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And I'm so happy the Pro Football Hall of Fame got him in before he passed away. You know, Kenny Stabler didn't get his just due. He was gone by the time he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's just not right. So Roger Craig being there to be able to celebrate that with his family, former teammates, and of course we lost Wags. And Shasky, I know you don't know Wags too much. I know Loveman, you probably know him a lot more than Shasky, but Wags, you see all the outpouring love that he got on Twitter and social media over the weekend. Just shows what type of guy he was. And, you know, the press box and media center is never going to be the same because he always had a joke and he always had a compliment for you. He always had something to say that was uplifting, like, hey, you keep going. You're doing your thing. I'm watching you. You're doing great. Da-da-da-da-da. And you always need somebody like that in your life every now and then, especially in today's negative society. And then you lose Nelly yesterday. It's just like, man, can this week get any worse?
Man, I know. It's just been a lot. You know, Nelly, back to Nelly for just a second. It was really well said, B. This guy lived an NBA Forest Gump-like life. I mean, he starts at Iowa, grew up on a farm with a bicycle. I've heard the story a million times. A bicycle wheel that they took the spokes out of that he used to shoot into. He was going to play with Connie Hawkins, and then Connie got some scandal and had to leave. Played for the Zefers, who became the Bullets. Played for the Lakers in the finals. Jumped over, and he's like, I'm one of the first Lakers to go to the Celtics. And then wins 5 championships, shot free throws with one hand. I mean, his form was super funky. I mean, you would never teach it to this day. And then takes over a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar-less Milwaukee Bucks team. You talked about basically taking the center off the floor and moving him away from the basket, creating the point forward, constantly beefing with everybody and trading for guys. Yeah. I think the part that's the most underrated about him is I think his eye for talent as a coach is as good as anyone's ever.
Yeah. I was just reading the Dirk Nowitzki story. Mark Medina wrote it, our friend Mark Medina. And during that process, you know, his son, Donnie Jr., was like, yo, we need to go see this Dirk kid in Germany. So they flew to Germany. Dirk's dad's like, hey, Don, you're going to be his American father. I need you because I can't come out there. And so Dirk comes out, and they're in San Antonio, I believe, and they go work out at the YMCA, or they're going to play in San Antonio, they're going to go YMCA in Texas. And Don's at the top of the bleachers, top of the gym, watching them. And he's telling Dirk, hey, I don't want you to play in that game. I don't want you to play in that game. And then Dirk plays in the game, and everybody found out about Dirk. And so then when it came to interviews with the teams, Don Nelson locked them in the basement, basically. It was like, you're not interviewing with anybody. We're ahead of the Celtics. We know Boston likes you. We're going to move up. We're going to give Milwaukee our pick because we know they love tractor trailer, but we're taking you. And he did this countless times. He loved Paul Pierce in that draft, too. So to your point about eye for talent, he wanted Pierce or Dirk Nowitzki. He ended up taking Dirk, and he walks into the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest players we've ever seen. But he also did that with Tim Hardaway Sr. Like, he told everybody that his knee was shot. Hey, man, don't take this guy. His knee's bad. Like, his knee's going to blow out any moment. And then the Warriors get on the clock, and it's select Tim Hardaway Sr. Like, what? What are you doing? So he had a way to manipulate things as well. And you talk about the character that he was. I mean, the shot that he hit against the Lakers where they had the balloons there at the Great Western Forum. His shot goes up in the air, bounces in. They still pop the balloons, and the Celtics win. Russell's last game as a Boston Celtic, as he was a player coach. I mean, the way he left teams, he definitely didn't leave quietly.
So it's funny that you bring that up because, like, I was thinking about legacy and, like, when someone passes away, we only remember the good, but part of what makes somebody is like the full experience, like, and I'm not knocking him, but he was the architect and the arsonist on a variety of things. The Mitch Richmond trade, you draft him. He's one of the great Warriors in a very short period of time. It's one of the worst trades ever. You find Weber, you have Weber and Latrell, and you trade Weber away, and then you resign. Like, in many ways, he was his own worst enemy. He was an unbelievably brilliant tinkerer, and yet also just couldn't get along with people.
Yeah, it's weird. The Mitch Richmond trade. Richmond tells a story. Bully tells a story. He got traded to Sacramento. Mitch Richmond stayed in Alameda for that entire season. He was distraught, devastated. Like, I can't believe I'm playing for the Sacramento Kings. How could you do this to me, Nelly? The Weber situation. We got Weber for 1 year. Boom, he's traded because Don Nelson and Weber can't get along. He leaves the Knicks. So, like, that didn't work out.
Yep.
Mark Cuban and Don Nelson end up beefing because he wouldn't play Dirk in those Western Conference, I think it was a conference finals against San Antonio, where Dirk's knee was shot. And Don Nelson basically said, I'm not going to risk your career, all right? I'll play you in the game 7, but your knee's dislocated. You can't run. The Spurs are going to run you all over the floor. Cuban never got over it. They beefed. He ends up firing Don Nelson, which made the We Believe team even special because Don wanted that series. He wanted that series bad, and he wanted to stick it to Mark Cuban. So, but even that exit with the Golden State Warriors wasn't pretty.
Not pretty.
So that's what made him him. And then you think about his afterlife in basketball, where he's in Hawaii. The only time I've ever been in his presence, fellas, is when he came back with Jay Rich and Steven Jackson, and somebody asked him, they say, what have you been up to, Nelly? And he had the gold chain on, the ponytail, looked like he was straight out of Breaking Bad or something. And he goes, I've just been smoking some pot. And it's like, dude, what a life. You got the island, you're smoking weed, you're playing poker, you've been involved in the NBA for I don't know how long. You got 5 championships. And that's the great thing about Don Nelson. He was such a good coach. I didn't even realize he was a player until I was like 15 years old.
Yep.
You've worked with Mullen for so long. I mean, Mullen, he put out a beautiful post this morning about him on Instagram. In many ways, he helped salvage his career and his personal life and all that. And so how does Mully talk about Don Nelson?
Oh, loves Nelly. We talked to him yesterday. We were doing the Giants game. God, they still have yet to have a 4-game winning streak. When Adamas got thrown out from right, Bonta,
and then he challenged the play. I was ready to throw the remote.
Well, Susak wasted a challenge on like the second batter of the game. Anyway, Mully, man, look, when Mully was going through his struggles with the bottle, and Donnie, they sent him to rehab, and he got back, and Don Nelson said, Mully, I just want you to shoot. I don't give a damn how many times you shoot. Just shoot. Work on your game. I need to see what you got. Just shoot. And I've heard Nick Van Exel say the same thing. Hey, if you don't shoot the ball, I'm taking you off the floor. Like, shoot. And he resurrected his career. Like, he just basically said, look, we're going to put you in these positions. We're going to handle the ball. We're going to use all your skills. And he looks at Don Nelson as a father alongside Al Attles. Coming from New York City, not having family out here, opposite coast. Nobody's going to these Warrior games at the time. Don Nelson and Al Attles really wrapped his arm around him. And so Mully speaks fondly of Don Nelson, man. His innovation. We were talking during the finals. He goes, Don Nelson can walk on the court today and coach circles around Mike Brown and your boy from San Antonio. That's how he was like, dude, he was ahead of his time. The point forward, as you mentioned, getting up and down, taking the center off the floor. Like, hey, when they played San Antonio, what was it? I think it was 89 or 91.
91.
They beat San Antonio.
They beat Larry Brown.
They beat them in the first round. And they put Rod Higgins in center. And Don Nelson's like, hey, Mully, we're just going to run these dudes. We're going to run them. They can't hang with us. And they ran them off the floor. Then there's the stories of, and Rich Richmond told the story on All the Smoke, but I've heard it over and over from Mully. I forget the guy's name. May have been Shasky. You may have pointed this out. I forget the guy's name. But Don Nelson put him into a game, and said, hey, I need you to foul this guy. Foul him hard, foul him over. I want you to foul out. Well, the guy goes into the game, doesn't commit one single foul. So the next day at practice here in Alameda, and Don Nelson's running these guys left and right. Then he puts this guy who didn't foul into drills, the 2-on-1 fast break drills, and he's just getting dunked on left and right. Dunked on. Then Don Nelson's like, you know what? We're going to run you for another 45 minutes. Then he calls a team over, said, hey, fellas, you see that guy over there? Wave goodbye to him because he's gone. Cut him in front of everybody.
Oh, my
God.
God.
He was kind of cold-hearted, too. So Mully, has all these stories. He loves Donnie. He loves Don. I mean, it's a bond that can't be broken alongside Gary St. Jean, who's alongside those rides with the Warriors.
Can you think of anybody in any sport who has their imprints all over the modern game who didn't win a title as a coach in terms of his influence? Because it's crazy to me how, even the dynasty for the Warriors, in a weird way, and I know everyone's like, well, Steph and Larry Riley, to me, it's him and Barron having a falling out and Barron going to the Clippers, which is why they even were looking at point guards to begin with. I guess the Curry aspect, there's no doubt. But it's him having the same issues with guys over and over and over again and him falling out with Barron. I feel like that's the nugget no one ever brings up.
Yeah, no, it's a big nugget. It's a big nugget where you basically say, you know what, I'm going to get my money. Barron's falling out. I'm going to be gone anyway. But you talked about the imprint all over the game, the three-point shot. Yeah. Manu Ball's shooting threes. They're like, dude, what is a 7'5" guy shooting threes? You know what I mean? 7 foot. What is going on here? Big shooting threes. That's Don Nelson. Small ball. That's Don Nelson. Playing up and down, reckless back. That's Don Nelson to a T. So, yeah, he didn't get his ring. That's unfortunate. I don't even think he coached in the NBA Finals.
I don't believe so either,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's unfortunate. I mean, he does have his championships as a player, but he had a championship mind. And in today's game, with all the three-point shots, the spacing, Don Nelson teams may average 130 a game. Easy.
No, and that's what made those games so fun, especially when, that 07-08 Warriors team would go against, Mike D'Antoni's Phoenix Suns teams, Bonds. Hey, I remember, it was like, the first team to 120 points will probably have the lead at the end of the third quarter. Yep. That's how high scoring those games are. Then again, you mentioned, Shaz talks about the Baron Davis situation, how that led to Steph. One of my fondest memories of Nelly and one of my favorite quotes was after Steph got drafted, there's the whole Amari Stoudemire, Steph Curry trade rumors that were floating around. And, Nelly and Riley, they made the push to get Steph. And I always remember the quote that he had in the Conch Cost Times. Marcus Thompson had the line was, yeah, Steph's not going anywhere. He can buy a house here. And I always remember Nelly throwing his support behind Steph like that. Yeah. And just, I kind of consider it, Nelly's last gift to the Warriors was, in a sense, kind of fending off those trade rumors there, which kind of paved the way for Steph to be Steph and the Warriors to become what they are. And I do draw kind of a line from his small ball lineups to the death lineup that Steph obviously led in the NBA Finals all those years later.
Nelly, it's so much more to him. I can't wait for Steiny. Is Steiny in today?
I believe so. I don't know, actually. I haven't seen him yet.
Steiny and Gooby.
Steiny was around Nelly a lot during those days, and I can't wait to hear some of the stories he's got. I'm sure Greg St. Jean's got a lot of Gary St. Jean. I don't know if you guys had him on. I mean, there's so many stories. Like R.C. Davis posted something today. He's a young term. He's young in the beat, and there's Marcus, and there's Steiny, and he asked him about, hey, how do you think it feels for Derek Fisher to go against his former team, the L.A. Lakers? And Nelly looks at him and goes, I don't know, you dumb bastard. You ask him. He just would, with a beer in his head. Just whatever. And he was Nelly. So, yeah, sure, he could say, Steph, don't buy a house here. But we all know, Nelly is always up to something. You can't really take some of his words at face value because who knows what he was a mastermind. He's one of those evil geniuses where sometimes they just get in their own way.
Yes.
And they defeat themselves because they're too smart for their own good. So, yeah, we heard all that. But as a Warrior fan during those times, I didn't buy it because of where the Warriors were as a franchise and what they had been. It wouldn't have shocked me if they traded Steph a year in, 6 months in, because that's who Nelly was, man. He was always looking for the next best thing.
Well, that's just the era, too, of Warrior basketball is whatever the high was, there's going to be a destructive low that came right after. And that's something Shasky and I've kind of talked about this show is that, he was, around the same age I was when We Believe happened, he was also, 10 to 13 years old. And we both as kids, and you as well, Bonta, you're in that same age demo as Shasky. We both in different eras saw the rise of Don Nelson and then the destructive fall of Don Nelson. It's just the way that history repeated itself with him. It just adds to what makes him so special. Shakespearean's a great way to put it. It adds to what makes Nelly so special.
But he was a true character that we lack in sports.
Exactly.
Today. We lack those type of characters. We need some hotheads. We need some dudes who's pranking. I'm sure, Shasky, you've heard the Victor Alexander story, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean,
tell it.
I don't know if I know this one, actually. You're going to have to story time me here.
Well, Gary St. Jean tells it the best, but they're in San Antonio, I believe, and Don Nelson goes to the kitchen and says, hey, if this room orders anything, you call me immediately. So it's Big Victor Alexander. He's got to watch his weight. Well, what do you know? Big Victor Alexander orders a double bacon cheeseburger, ice cream, French fries, chicken, the whole nine. He's going through the room service menu, the whole menu. He calls, the kitchen calls Don Nelson. Him and Gary St. Jean sprint down to the kitchen, grab a chef hat, say, here, we'll take it from here. Go up to his room, knock on the door, room service. Big Vic opens the door, and he's like, oh, no. Next thing you know, he's running the hotel stairs for like an hour and a half. So, I mean, that's who I read a story about him in a painting, pranking Greg Popovich. And heck, Greg Popovich, I hear these stories about tanking, right? Well, who led the way in tanking?
Nelly.
They say Don Nelson was their architect in tanking.
Yes, to protect the pick.
A forever ongoing legacy.
He told one coach, if you win another damn game, I'll make sure you never coach in this league again. I mean, seriously, he was a mastermind.
He was also the king of the 10 days, meaning the Anthony Morrows, the Anthony Tollivers, the
C.J. Watsons.
C.J. Watson. He loved these 10-day guys.
He loved the 10 days. Some of it was he had no choice, right?
That's
the injuries. Yeah, they had it.
Remember Khalid Azubuike? He called him a completely different name.
Yes, he did.
God, what it was. We got this Bazooki kid. What is it? He didn't even know who he was. Something like that. And then he's played him 30 minutes.
Oh, man, what a time. What a time. Bonta, thank you so much for hopping on with us this morning after drop-off. Yep. And, love. I feel like we could talk Nelly all day with you, but again, we got Steiny and Guru coming up, and I'm with you. I'm very excited to hear Steiny's stories with Nelly. So, thank you so much.
Tough week, man. Tough week, but you know what? Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll talk, man. Scrimmage tomorrow. Niners and Titans.
Ooh, we're getting there. Shanahan's gonna be on the sideline. Get hyped. All right, thanks, B. All right, go enjoy the rest of your day.